Setting intentional growth goals is a crucial practice for anyone looking to enhance their self-awareness and emotional intelligence. It involves identifying specific, measurable, and purposeful objectives that guide your personal and emotional development. These goals are not arbitrary or superficial. They are designed to help you grow as a person, strengthen your emotional resilience, and build a more meaningful life. Without clear goals, personal growth can feel aimless or disconnected, but by setting intentional goals, you direct your energy toward achieving greater self-awareness and emotional intelligence in a focused and effective way. The first step in setting intentional growth goals is to identify areas in your life where you want to improve. This can involve your emotional responses, relationships, professional life, or personal development. For example, you might recognize that you struggle with managing stress, or that you often react impulsively during difficult conversations. Acknowledging these areas of growth allows you to create specific goals tailored to these challenges. Setting intentional goals requires honest self-reflection, as it calls for you to assess both your strengths and weaknesses. It's essential to be aware of where you are and where you want to be in order to set effective goals. Once you've identified the areas where growth is needed, the next step is to create SMART goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Each goal should be specific and clearly defined, leaving no room for ambiguity. For instance, rather than setting a vague goal like become better at managing stress, a SMART goal would be practice a relaxation technique, such as deep breathing or meditation, for 10 minutes every morning for the next 30 days. This goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to your growth, and has a defined time frame. SMART goals provide clarity and structure, making it easier to track progress and stay motivated. In addition to creating SMART goals, it's essential to establish a system of accountability. Accountability ensures that you remain committed to your growth objectives, even when challenges arise. This might involve sharing your goals with a trusted friend, mentor, or coach who can offer guidance and check in on your progress. Having someone to hold you accountable makes it more likely that you will follow through, especially during moments of self-doubt or when external distractions arise. Right? It's also helpful to keep track of your progress regularly, reflecting on both your successes and areas where you need further improvement. This practice helps you stay on course and make any necessary adjustments to your goals as you evolve. Setting intentional growth goals also requires flexibility. While it's important to set clear objectives, it's equally important to remain open to adjusting your goals based on new insights or circumstances. Sometimes, personal growth is not a linear process, and what you initially thought was a priority may change as you gain more self-awareness. For example, you might find that improving your emotional regulation requires a different approach than you initially planned, or that you need to focus more on building self-compassion before tackling another goal. Being open to change allows you to stay adaptable and responsive to your growth journey. Lastly, it's important to celebrate small victories along the way. Personal growth is a long-term process, and seeing progress, even in small steps, can provide the motivation needed to continue moving forward. Recognizing achievements, no matter how minor they may seem, reinforces positive behavior and encourages perseverance. Acknowledging your progress helps you build confidence in your ability to set and achieve growth goals, and it reinforces the notion that every step forward, no matter how small, is part of a greater journey toward emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Detaching from ego is a transformative practice essential for developing self-awareness and emotional intelligence. The ego is often defined as the self-perception or identity we construct based on our experiences, achievements, and societal influences. While the ego plays a role in shaping our sense of self, it can also create barriers to personal growth and meaningful relationships if left unchecked. Detaching from ego means stepping back from this constructed identity and learning to approach situations with humility, openness, and a willingness to learn. The first step in detaching from ego is recognizing its influence on your thoughts and actions. The ego often manifests as a need for validation, an aversion to criticism, or an excessive focus on personal accomplishments. For instance, you might find yourself becoming defensive when someone points out an area for improvement, or feeling threatened by the success of others. These reactions are signs that the ego is at play, prioritizing self-protection over self-improvement. Awareness of these tendencies is crucial for beginning the process of detachment. Detaching from ego requires cultivating humility. Humility does not mean undervaluing yourself or dismissing your achievements. Rather, it involves acknowledging that there is always room for growth and that others have valuable insights and experiences to share. When you approach situations with humility, you become more open to feedback and willing to consider perspectives different from your own. This openness fosters deeper connections and allows you to learn from those around you. Another key aspect of detaching from ego is embracing vulnerability. The ego often drives us to project an image of perfection or invulnerability, fearing that any display of weakness will diminish our worth. However, true strength lies in the ability to be honest about your struggles and shortcomings. By admitting when you don't know something or when you've made a mistake, you create opportunities for growth and build trust with others. Vulnerability also allows you to connect authentically, as people are more likely to relate to and respect someone who is genuine. Mindfulness practices can help you observe the ego's influence without becoming entangled in it. By paying attention to your thoughts and emotions in a non-judgmental way, you can identify when the ego is driving your reactions. For example, if you notice feelings of envy arising when a colleague receives praise, you can acknowledge these feelings without letting them dictate your behavior. This awareness creates space for intentional responses rather than impulsive reactions. Detaching from ego also involves letting go of the need for external validation. The ego often seeks approval and recognition to reinforce its sense of worth. However, relying on others for validation can lead to a constant cycle of comparison and insecurity. By shifting your focus inward and prioritizing self-acceptance, you can build a more stable and authentic sense of self-worth. This shift allows you to take pride in your efforts and achievements without needing constant affirmation from others. Finally, practicing gratitude can counteract the ego's tendency to focus on what is lacking or what sets you apart from others. By appreciating the contributions and successes of those around you, you can cultivate a sense of interconnectedness and reduce the ego's grip. Gratitude encourages you to view others as collaborators rather than competitors, fostering a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect. Mastering emotional regulation is a critical component of emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Emotional regulation refers to the ability to manage and control your emotional responses in different situations, ensuring that your actions align with your values and goals, rather than being driven by impulsive feelings. It is about responding to emotions thoughtfully and constructively, rather than reacting automatically. This skill allows you to maintain composure during stressful situations, enhance interpersonal relationships, and make better decisions in both personal and professional contexts. The first step in emotional regulation is becoming aware of your emotions as they arise. Often, people suppress or ignore their feelings, which can lead to emotional outbursts or internalized stress. Becoming attuned to your emotions requires mindfulness, the practice of observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. By taking a moment to pause and identify what you are feeling, whether it's anger, frustration, or excitement, you gain the power to choose how to respond rather than being controlled by the emotion itself. Recognizing the physical cues associated with emotions, such as a racing heart or clenched fists, can help you detect feelings before they escalate. Once you are aware of your emotions, the next step is to regulate them. One common method of emotional regulation is reappraisal, which involves changing the way you think about a situation to alter your emotional response. For instance, if you feel anger rising during a disagreement, you might reframe the situation by reminding yourself that the other person may not have intended to offend you. This shift in perspective helps reduce the intensity of negative emotions and opens the door for a more constructive response. Reappraisal requires practice, but over time it can help you transform how you experience and react to emotions. Another useful strategy is deep breathing or relaxation techniques. When you feel overwhelmed by emotions, your body often enters a state of fight or flight, which can cloud your judgment and increase emotional intensity. Taking a few deep breaths or practicing progressive muscle relaxation can calm the nervous system and restore a sense of control. By focusing on your breath, you interrupt the automatic stress response and create space for a more thoughtful reaction. A simple yet effective tool can be particularly helpful in high-pressure situations, such as during a difficult conversation or in moments of crisis. Developing emotional regulation also involves accepting and embracing your emotions without judgment. Often we try to push away uncomfortable emotions like sadness, guilt, or fear, believing they are undesirable. However, accepting these emotions as part of the human experience allows you to process them more effectively. Instead of feeling guilty for being angry, for example, recognize that it is natural to feel angry in certain situations. By acknowledging emotions without labeling them as good or bad, you can prevent them from controlling your actions. One of the key elements of emotional regulation is practicing patience. In moments of heightened emotion, it can be tempting to act immediately, but impulsive reactions can lead to regret. Taking a step back, counting to 10, or even walking away from the situation temporarily can give you the time needed to calm down and approach the situation more rationally. Patience allows you to choose a response that is intentional and in line with your long-term goals, rather than reacting based on temporary emotional impulses. Finally, emotional regulation is closely linked to empathy. By understanding the emotions of others, you can regulate your own emotional responses in a way that fosters cooperation and connection. For example, if a colleague is upset, instead of reacting with frustration or defensiveness, you can respond with understanding and support. Recognizing that others' emotions are valid and not a personal attack helps you regulate your emotional responses, promoting healthier and more productive interactions. Cultivating empathy for yourself is a crucial aspect of building emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Self-empathy is the ability to understand, acknowledge, and accept your own feelings without judgment. It involves treating yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and understanding that you would offer to a close friend or loved one. In a world that often emphasizes achievement and perfection, practicing self-empathy can be a transformative act that nurtures emotional resilience and well-being. Without self-empathy, you risk becoming your own harshest critic, which can hinder personal growth and prevent you from fully realizing your potential. The foundation of self-empathy lies in self-acceptance. This means acknowledging and embracing all parts of yourself, your strengths, weaknesses, achievements, and flaws. Often we are quick to accept and celebrate our successes, but may struggle with self-criticism when we fall short. Self-acceptance involves recognizing that you are worthy of love and care, regardless of your shortcomings or mistakes. It's about giving yourself permission to be imperfect and understanding that making mistakes is part of being human. By accepting yourself fully, you create a supportive internal environment that encourages growth and self-improvement rather than self-rejection. A key aspect of cultivating self-empathy is learning to identify and validate your emotions. Many people tend to dismiss or suppress their feelings, thinking that emotions like sadness, fear, or anger are signs of weakness or failure. However, these emotions are natural and serve as signals to help you understand your needs and experiences. Self-empathy involves acknowledging these emotions without judgment, allowing them to exist without immediately trying to change or fix them. For example, if you are feeling overwhelmed or anxious, rather than pushing those feelings away or telling yourself you should tough it out, you can acknowledge them by saying, "It's okay to feel this way right now. I'm doing the best I can." This validation creates emotional space and reduces the pressure to immediately suppress or ignore your feelings. Another critical element of self-empathy is self-compassion. When things don't go as planned or when you make a mistake, it's easy to fall into a pattern of self-criticism. However, self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer to a friend in a similar situation. Instead of berating yourself for an error, you can practice forgiving yourself and focusing on what you can learn from the experience. Self-compassion helps reduce feelings of shame or guilt and fosters a mindset of growth and resilience. By being kind to yourself in moments of difficulty, you build the emotional strength to face challenges with greater ease. Mindfulness practices can also support the development of self-empathy. Through mindfulness, you learn to become present with your emotions without getting overwhelmed by them. This practice involves observing your thoughts and feelings without attachment, allowing you to experience them fully while maintaining a sense of emotional balance. By becoming more aware of your internal state, you can recognize when you need care or rest and when you need to push forward. Mindfulness also teaches you to listen to your body and mind, helping you understand when you are reaching your limits and need to practice self-care. Self-empathy also encourages setting healthy boundaries. It's important to recognize when your emotional energy is being drained by others or by situations that no longer align with your values. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect and self-love, allowing you to prioritize your well-being. By being empathetic toward yourself, you understand that saying no or stepping back from a situation is not an act of selfishness, but rather a necessary step to preserve your emotional health. By cultivating self-empathy, you create a solid foundation for emotional intelligence. It allows you to be more compassionate toward others, because when you understand and care for your own emotions, you develop the capacity to understand and respond to the emotions of those around you. Self-awareness and emotional intelligence. These aren't just buzzwords you throw around at personal development seminars or write on a vision board. These are the foundational tools for a truly authentic and successful life. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you looked in the mirror, not just to fix your hair, but to really see yourself? We spend so much energy trying to understand others, what they think, how they feel, and what they expect of us. But here's the hard truth. You can't control anyone else. The real power lies in understanding you. In this journey we're about to embark on, I'm going to show you why self-awareness isn't just about knowing who you are, it's about owning it. And emotional intelligence, it's not about controlling emotions, it's about mastering them. Together, we're going to peel back the layers, uncover the blind spots, and rewrite the way you see yourself and interact with the world. Because when you truly understand yourself, you stop reacting and start living. And that, my friends, is where the magic happens. Understanding and identifying your emotional triggers is a fundamental step in building self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Triggers are specific situations, actions, or behaviors that evoke strong emotional responses in us, often leading to reactions that may not align with our true intentions or values. These triggers are deeply rooted in our past experiences, upbringing, and personal beliefs, and they often operate on a subconscious level. To master emotional intelligence, it is essential to bring these triggers to the surface and examine them closely. Triggers can manifest in various forms. For some, it might be a particular tone of voice or a dismissive gesture that ignites feelings of anger or frustration. For others, it could be a perceived slight, such as being excluded from a group or overlooked for recognition, that triggers feelings of hurt or inadequacy. These reactions are not random, they are tied to our deeply ingrained perceptions of self-worth, fear, or unresolved emotional wounds. The process of identifying triggers begins with self-observation. This means paying attention to your emotional responses in different situations and noticing patterns. For example, if you find yourself consistently feeling irritated during meetings when someone interrupts you, it might indicate a trigger related to respect and acknowledgement. By journaling these observations or reflecting on them at the end of each day, you can start to pinpoint recurring themes and uncover the underlying causes of your emotional reactions. Self-inquiry is a powerful tool in this process. Once a trigger is identified, asking yourself why it elicits such a strong response can help you uncover its roots. Questions like, why does this situation make me feel this way? Or what past experiences does this remind me of? Can provide insights into the origin of your triggers. Often you may find that these reactions are tied to past experiences that shape your worldview or your sense of identity. Recognizing triggers is only the first step. The next involves actively working to address them. This requires developing emotional resilience and learning strategies to manage your reactions. Mindfulness practices, such as deep breathing or grounding exercises, can help you pause and create space between the trigger and your response. This pause allows you to choose a response that aligns with your values rather than reacting impulsively. Challenging the beliefs associated with your triggers is another critical aspect. For instance, if being interrupted makes you feel disrespected, you might examine whether this belief stems from a need for validation. By questioning the validity of such beliefs and reframing them, you can begin to neutralize the power of the trigger over your emotions. It's also important to cultivate empathy and self-compassion during this process, acknowledging that triggers are a natural part of being human, and forgiving yourself for reactive moments can reduce feelings of guilt or frustration. Instead of judging yourself harshly, view these moments as opportunities for growth and learning. Practicing reflection is an essential step in cultivating self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Reflection involves the deliberate and thoughtful examination of your thoughts, actions, and behaviors to gain deeper insights into yourself. By engaging in regular reflection, you can identify patterns, understand motivations, and make more informed decisions that align with your values and long-term goals. Reflection begins with creating space in your daily life to pause and assess your experiences. In a world that often demands constant action and productivity, taking time to reflect may seem counterintuitive, yet it is a powerful tool for personal growth. Setting aside even a few minutes each day for introspection can lead to significant changes in how you perceive and respond to the world around you. A practical approach to reflection is keeping a journal. Writing down your thoughts and experiences allows you to process emotions, recognize recurring themes, and identify areas where you may need to grow. For example, you might reflect on a challenging interaction with a colleague or loved one by asking yourself what emotions arose during the exchange, why you felt that way, and how you might approach a similar situation differently in the future. Journaling helps externalize your thoughts, making them easier to analyze and understand. Another method is to practice guided self-inquiry through specific questions. Questions like, what went well today? What could I have done differently? Or what lessons can I take from this experience? Encourage a deeper level of thinking. By consistently asking such questions, you train your mind to look beyond the surface of events and uncover the underlying factors that shape your behavior. Mindfulness and meditation also play a crucial role in reflection. These practices help you develop the ability to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment, creating a space for honest self-assessment. For instance, during a mindfulness session, you might notice feelings of frustration arising when thinking about a particular task or individual. Acknowledging this frustration without immediately acting on it allows you to explore its source and consider constructive ways to address it. Incorporating feedback from others into your reflective practice can further enhance your understanding of yourself. Constructive feedback from colleagues, friends, or mentors can shed light on blind spots and offer perspectives you might not have considered. However, it's important to approach feedback with an open mind, viewing it as an opportunity for growth rather than criticism. Reflection also involves examining your values and ensuring your actions align with them. When you take the time to consider whether your decisions are consistent with your beliefs and goals, you gain clarity about your priorities. This alignment fosters a sense of purpose and direction, making it easier to navigate challenges and make choices that resonate with your authentic self. Regular reflection helps you become more attuned to your emotional responses and thought processes. This awareness enables you to identify patterns such as habits that no longer serve you or emotional triggers that need addressing. By recognizing these patterns, you can begin to make intentional changes that support your personal and professional growth.